Hi everyone, welcome back to WHU TV live on YouTube and Facebook on this Friday evening. I hope you're all doing well. It's practically Friday night, actually, really. My name is John, your host, as always, and I hope you're all doing well. This live stream is sponsored by the channel sponsor, 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website, where you can purchase retro kits from the 60s, yada, yada, yada. You guys know all the usual spiel. So there's no framing here. I just thought we'd have an intimate one-to-one conversation. So hopefully, guys, welcome, of course. Hopefully there's going to be some interaction in the live chat for this. We're basically going to be talking about the news that all league games in the UK and pretty much the UK, really, well, England and Scotland for that matter, have all been postponed due to the coronavirus. Now, this is something that we all saw coming for a good few days, but everybody else is caught up as usual. So let's have a chat. We've got someone in the chat here. Good evening. We have Jiminy36. At least you remembered to put your sausage pump on. Another a troll straight away. Dave says, hey John, good to see you, mate. JGM is in the chat saying evening all. Good to see you. This channel has a no that's disappeared straight away, so that they've obviously realized they've crossed the line. Welsh Hammer says good evening. Well, Welsh Hammer, welcome, and Dave and JGM, thank you very much for joining as well. Ben Davis, as always, hello everyone. Right, so let's crack on to it. The French, German and Scots FAs have also suspended their games. The Scottish FA have gone pretty balls deep with this, for lack of a better way of putting it, where they've actually suspended everything from basically grassroots upwards as of this morning until further notice. Now, as you guys will know, the Premier League, EFL, and Women's Super League, for that matter, has all been suspended for 3 weeks' time. So basically up until the 4th of April. Why was I about to say September though? Bloody knows. Jay Zaz is in the evening, the old China. Hello, mate. And Zek's in the group with his bad spelling already. And also, guys, as we know, all Champions League and Europa Leagues are also suspended. So all games, I should say, are suspended. US soccer has also cancelled men and women's senior national team matches in March and April, including the Wales-USA game. And the majority of the youth national team and extended national team camps that were planned through to the end of April, and the US soccer team have confirmed that they will be issuing refunds, which I will come on to in just a few minutes. But also, it was interesting reading that the Premier League wanted the fixtures to go to head, but 18 out of the 20 teams in the Premier League wanted the suspension, and it seems that both us and Spurs wanted the rest of the season to be abandoned entirely, from what I'm reading, which is very, very interesting. What have we got here? Zek says, oh, haha, I'm laughing my head off. Not. Okay, so talking about this. Well, basically, guys, as you may or may not have been aware, especially if you follow me on YouTube, and I did put a community post up there as well, which basically read as follows: all elite football suspended until at least the 3rd of April. Do you feel this 3-week period is long enough for this to abate and games can continue? If no, when do you feel the earliest return? When do you feel should be the earliest return? Now, not many people, 39% of you voted, and I'll come on to the comments in just a moment, but 79.5% of you 39 said no, this isn't a long period. And to be honest with you, I completely agree 100%. There were a few people that voted on the YouTube poll as well, but again, the majority of those people voted no. So guys, it's because I don't believe this is the right period of time. I really, really don't. Let's because let's put it this way, okay? It was confirmed on Wednesday Thursday afternoon. So yesterday, for those who are watching live, that that we are 4 weeks behind Italy, right? And we mentioned this a little bit last night as well in the massively unstructured Wolves preview that I did, because I was trying to get it in before everybody else was going live, and it was a rush. So apologies, guys, for those that were actually watching it. But as I say, it was just I genuinely think it was the wrong call to have 3 weeks. I genuinely do. And just go into the comments of what people were saying on there. Dave, as always, with the end of season approaching and the Euros almost on us, I can honestly see this as being cancelled now. On the plus side, Leeds don't get promoted. I hate those bunch of James Blunts. Leonard Starr says, cancel the season for fuck's sake. People's health at risk. Philip Wilkinson says August and restart the season. Kevin says not 100% correct. JP, all elite matches plus Spurs are off. And Ash Davis says cancel the season and possibly the Euros until Corona is done with. Now, I agree 100%. A few other people have just popped into the chat. So hello, mate. Hello, Roy. Good to see you. Jones in the house as well. Jay Zaz says, John, when coronavirus numbers get bad, it will put off further or suspended. Agreed, Jay. Now, we'll come on to that in just a minute. But as I say, I did mention earlier that we were talking about refunds from the US Soccer Nation. Now, the interesting thing is that Tranmere's owner has said that they will give refunds to any for those that have already bought tickets. So why not a West Ham doing the same thing, or at least any other Premier League club? Surely they can afford it. Of course they can afford it. I mean, what the hell's going on? It's ridiculous. It really, really is bad. JGM says, I think it's going to be assessed on a weekly basis until they give up and the end of the season. I can't see this clearing up anytime soon. Agreed, 100%. Ben Davis says, rhyming slang, speak as Dave. And Dave is laughing at me using the rhyming slang. Now, because bearing in mind, there are potentially kids watching this. Now, obviously, it was announced very, very late last night. Well, towards the end, basically after the preview went live, that Mikel Arteta had symptoms of the coronavirus, along with Hudson-Odoi. It was confirmed earlier yesterday that 3 players from Leicester were symptomatic of it. It was confirmed that the Chelsea players were isolating themselves, and it also was confirmed this morning that the Everton players were also isolating themselves, and David Moyes is also self-containing himself just as a precaution. Now, apparently he's all fine, but you can never run the risk. Rick says, evening, guys. Good to see you, Rick. It's been a while, mate. Now, for me personally, I honestly think that the 3rd of April, aka just before the Chelsea at home fixture, is pie in the sky, to say the least. And I know I'm showing my age there, but I genuinely think it's pie in the sky to have that as a return date, because at the end of the day, like I said, as I said earlier, and we were talking about it yesterday, we are 4 weeks behind Italy. Now, I'm not saying that because we're 4 weeks behind, we should use Italy as a benchmark in any shape or form. But what I am saying to the fact is this is not going to abate any time soon. Now, there are rumblings. That this is not the 3rd of April is unachievable. It's completely unachievable. Apparently, there are articles coming out talking about that. Now, as I say, the annoying thing that's been coming out, especially from the EFL's point of view, right? They made a very, very good statement earlier today, but most of the messages in the EFL and what's come out from the Premier League is it's all about the players' health and the staff's health, not ours, not the public. As always, we are always last in the running. The EFL said today that we want to make sure that the well-being of the players and the staff and the supporters. Surely, to be honest with you, Surely it should be players, supporters, and staff. Surely we should be put up in a higher regard in terms of that. Because at the end of the day, as we've been seeing over the last last night and possibly the night before, we, without any supporters, games are weird, to say the least. I was watching the first half of the Olympiacos Wolves game, and it was like watching a friendly. It was really, really like watching a friendly. Don't get me wrong, this is the worst situation we have been in for over 100 years, give or take a few days. But it's it's a pandemic. We haven't seen anything like this since the influenza pandemic previous in the beginning of the end of the 18th, beginning of the 19th, end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century. It's terrible, to say the least. Ben Davis says, if games are in the summer, then it could be a problem as the athletics are due to take place. Yaz says, do you think Moyes will get coronavirus as he and Nolan shook hands with Arteta? He keeps also touching his chin. Zek Plays says, well, I'm not saying corona is pointless, but I think it's nothing worse than the flu. That's complete. I'm sorry, mate, but no, I have to disagree with you on that one. Flu, it's the symptoms are a lot quicker presentated. There's obviously a difference between the flu and influenza. The flu is basically the common cold. What everyone refers to as the common cold, when the flu should be the influenza, which is a serious condition. I mean, it killed my nan. So I'll have to disagree on that one, Zek. Ben Davis says, no match of the day, Mrs. Brown's boys instead. Welsh Hammer says, Italy problems largely self-inflicted. Yes and no. A lot of Chinese visitors in Italy, quite a lot. Ben Davis says no football until August. Jones has agreed. JP is going to get worse. What will happen when the season is abandoned? Now we'll come on to that in just a minute, Joan. It's a bit worse than flu. Sorry, it's a lot worse than flu. Fit people can't breathe and need hospitalisation. Exactly, Joan. Thank you very much. David says, I remember watching the Castilla game from the Bowling on TV, and that was crap. That's totally different. That was because our fans were banned because of violence, Dave. That's totally different. Zex says, sorry about thank you, mate. That was 20 odd years ago, but thank you very much nonetheless. Roy Chapel says, I can't see any games being played in the Premiership. Now, we'll come on to this, right? So as I say, I've been thinking about this for a little while, and because obviously Nikki from West Ham Fan TV did a very, very good live stream. The boys from Redman TV did a live stream as well about this today, and also likewise, Gonzo did a quick video for Hammers Chat. Now, but it doesn't appear now, because obviously that was reacting straight away to the news to get the noise out there as much as possible, and fair enough. They got the messages out, and quite rightly so. Nikki's video was not 9 or 10 minutes. Gonzo's was 6 or 7. I haven't watched Mach's from Red Men to TV yet, but But basically, I've been thinking about this for most of the day. I was actually thinking about this from yesterday, to be honest. We're trying to figure out everything in terms of what was bullshit and what wasn't, what was going to happen. And I genuinely think if we hadn't had all those cases confirmed around about this time last night, then we wouldn't be in the situation now. I genuinely think that, because of the ignorance of everything. But from what I'm thinking, right, this is my personal opinion, and guys, let me know your thoughts on this as well. I honestly think there are 3 possible outcomes from the suspension at the moment. One, which is the most likely out of the 3. Any games will be rescheduled after all remaining games are played. All right. So, say for example, for argument's sake, that we get back to the schedule as they're originally intending, which, as I said earlier, is looking very, very impossible. But let's say, for argument's sake, that's the case, right? So we have the Chelsea game as our next league game, which again will be a home game. Now, if we are missing those 2, that means last game of the season is either going to be Spurs away or Wolves at home. It'll be one of the 2. All right. Possible outcome number 2. The fixtures continue like there was no break. It's massively unlikely that the next fixture that West Ham will play will be Wolves at home and then Spurs away, etc., etc. It's logistically impossible. It's absolutely logistically impossible for every single club in the Premier League, Championship, Women's Super League, Scottish Premier League, etc., to reschedule, push all the games back 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it's going to be. It's just not going to happen. So basically, what I reckon will happen, as I say, is the fact that we will have we go back at whatever date it is. It's Spurs away, or it's Chelsea at home, or it's Man United away. Whenever it's going to be, the season will start from then. So reconvene from then, and then all the games afterwards will be rescheduled. Outcome number 3, which is very possible, but at the same point, very, very unlikely because of all the money involved. As Lewis Hamilton came out with him when he's talking about the Formula One, money talks, all right? But I honestly think that number 3, as the break is longer than is reasonable for rescheduling, which is very, very possible. It looks like, I personally think at the very, very earliest, it will be the end of April, beginning of May, that we will start to see games being played. So if the break is longer than is reasonable for rescheduling, the table will finish as it stands now. For example, Leeds and West Brom will be deemed as automatic promotion. That Liverpool are deemed as the Premier League champions. We're safe, etc. Right? That's personally what I think is it could very, very likely be the case. So let's just jump back into the chat to see what everybody is saying. Just to recap on Royce, he's put another comment after I put that up. So you can't see games being played in the Championship for weeks. Great. Jones says, poor Klopp. Dave says, still behind closed doors, John, which was my point. Ben Davis says, the warmer weather will help reducing the effects of the virus. No, it won't, Ben. I'm sorry, mate, but it won't. The reason being is because viruses survive longer in hot temperatures than they do in cold. So the warm weather will not kill it. It just won't. It will make things worse. It will make things worse. The warmer weather, we're taught this as when we're kids. We're taught this at school, etc. When you've got a cold, the best thing to do is, yes, I know we were told to have hot drinks and whatnot, but the hot drinks we take have paracetamol and stuff in it, which actually goes to help our immune system. All right. When people are in isolation, for a lot of the time, they have cold showers. You need to be in a cold environment because it's a cold. Yeah, because that's why it's called a cold, because it's the best way to kill it is by being in a cold environment. Turbo Gig says £6 burger and £5 a pint. Times say 40,000 at half time. No way games get played behind closed doors. Agreed. I mean, from West Ham's point of view, Turbo, that doesn't make any difference, mate, because we hardly get any match day revenue from that stuff. Anyway, Ben Davis says, give the channel a thumbs up. Cheers, mate. Much appreciated. JGM says, could you imagine playing Spurs away at the last game of the season and getting relegated? It's, as it stands at the moment, it's a distinct possibility. It really is a distinct possibility. The Euros, Ben says the Euros will be next year then. We've no idea at this point. Why out of all games England hit? You mean for the cricket? For the same reasons, Zach. For the same reasons. Why? The only reason why Cheltenham went ahead today was because it's the last day of the races. Lots of practically everything has been called off as a result of this. It's not called a pandemic for a reason, an unjustified reason. It is the fact that we are in a position where it is almost 100 years since we had a condition that humanity doesn't have it as a cure for, and can kill people at the end of the day. That's what it is. It's hard to say it. I hate to say it, but that is the situation. I know a lot of us have been playing making light of it over the last week or so, but that's what we do as people. We try and see the funny side of things. But the fact is that the cases are getting larger. The ignorance is growing from both sides of the camp. And at the end of the day, guys, we're in the middle of a pandemic we have no control over. It's simple as that. Russia has started getting cases now. Italy is getting exponential. There's a lot of places closing down as a result of these injuries, like the ski resorts in Austria and Switzerland, for example, are starting to close down. There's a lot of stuff going on at the minute. Jones says, "I hope it is option 3. That would be brilliant for us. The virus is going to go on all year and beyond." Agreed. Flammo 1977, welcome, nice to see a new face. I think something big will happen with the coronavirus to humanity. Football will be missed for years, in my opinion. It's very, very possible. It's very, very possible. As I say, when the flu pandemic hit, that had a big impact on a lot of football games as well. A big hit on stuff. But at the end of the day, guys, we have absolutely no idea. This is the first day of what could be potentially weeks, if not months, of complete uncertainty. Now, when I went into work today, I got off of what is normally a very, very busy tube station. There was hardly anybody there. In comparison to the tube that I get on, there was hardly anyone on there in comparison to how much sardines it is on the Central Line. People are working from home. Sporting events are being cancelled regardless of what the government said yesterday, because they don't want to run the risk. Some morality is coming for a change, and it has exposed everything. Ben Davis says, "I'm sure the viruses survive colder environments." Ben, trust me, do the research on this, mate. They don't. They are a warmer environment helps spread a virus. A cold environment doesn't. It kills it because it requires heat to survive. There's been thousands of programs about it. There's even Evolution is a prime example of what the movie that I'm talking about is a prime example of what my basis of this is based on. All right, it's a lot of jokes in it, but it's a lot of it based on fact. Viruses grow in oxygen rich and hot, warm, basically body heat type temperatures. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is, mate. I hate to disagree with you, Ben. I hate to disagree with anyone for that matter, because everybody's opinion is valid. And if you think that, that's fine. But the science says that's why there's no cases in Antarctica or Alaska, anywhere like that, because they're in cold environments and the virus can't spread because it's too cold to be up there. Joan says it's hard to get our heads around such a huge change to society. Agreed, Joan, because we have been in such what's the word? Apathy. Yeah, apathy, I guess, and ignorance that we're all fine. We're going to be fine. Now, as this is quite clearly that this is a biological weapon. It's very, very clear that this is a biological weapon. Because at the end of the day, it's man-made. Now, either if it was meant to be released on that or not is another matter. But we are a long way from getting a cure to this disease. A long way. Now, the reason why people are making the comparisons between the flu virus and as it stands at the minute is literally because the flu is something we've been able to isolate ourselves from and practically eradicate within the last 100 years. This is a brand new virus that we don't know how to stop it. We don't. The only way that your own body can combat it is to get it, and that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. The fact is that our body needs to have this body, so the immune system kicks in, which is the reason why the majority of the people that have been passing away due to this condition, and if anybody is watching that knows anybody that has had that, my sincere condolences on that. It's like my nan. It's like when in the 90s she died of influenza because she had underlying conditions as well. All right. Now, the majority of the people that are dying from this condition, from this virus, also have underlying conditions. That's the problem. That's what it always says. People are ignoring this. More specifically, the media are ignoring this. But this is the situation. A lot of them have an underlying illness like this. Like, for example, they're going through chemotherapy, radiotherapy, which means their immune system is down. Now, as my dad suffered with cancer for 6 years, but on his death certificate, It said that he died from COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, because he picked up a cold while he was in hospital. That was the reason that killed him, because his immune system was low. All right. So I'm not, I'm not saying, oh, woe is me, blah blah blah. It's because that was over 10 years ago that dad died. But that's the situation of it. The majority of the people that die are not in the best of shapes that the majority of people are. Yes, all right, the government can be very equally accused of dilly-dallying about this, but at the same point, the majority of people that are surviving the condition are, I can't say normal because that's not the right way of putting it, but their health conditions are fine. Zek says, popped to as his date looked like a shot from the fire of London, completely dead. Joan says, I'm over 60, disabled with chronic illness, so I'm staying home as much as possible. And good on you, Joan, because it's as we talked about it last week when this was gathering pace before we did the preview the other night, is the fact that it's just common sense. If you feel yourself with symptoms, stay at home. After 7 days, if you still got the symptoms, then you need to talk to your doctor as quickly as possible. That's Dave says, I have COPD, so clearly at risk. Sorry to hear that, mate. Zek says, someone gets it. Anikim J. Canal, that's a name I haven't seen for a while. Hello, mate. Good to see you again. Tabo says, old folks costs, spay this stuff into air, reduce old folks. Come on, seriously. I know you're trying to be funny, but that is not funny in any shape or form. Because when you get to this, that age that the people are, that's not funny. You won't find it funny that people want to try and kill you off when you're at that age. So try and show a bit of respect. All right, so Darren over in Bangkok, he posed a very, very good. Let's return back to West Ham for a little bit on just in football in general. Darren asked a very, very good question, which I'm struggling to think. I legitimately want to get your thoughts on this. Now he asked me. He said, "What will happen to players with contracts that run out at the end of the season?" Now their contracts will end at the beginning of June. Some will be July, etc., etc. What will happen if what will happen if the season hasn't finished by the time these guys' contracts run out? Very, very good question, Darren. Very good question. Personally, I think maybe they will have to leave if the Premier League and FA can't give them an extension or can't grant them extension for whatever reason. I'm sure because it's a once in a lifetime situation. I'm sure that there will be certain dispensation in a lot of things. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there will be. But you never know. You never know. Turbo. That's not very funny from what you're saying. It's not truth in any shape or form. It's not truth. It's not designed to kill off the elderly. It's designed to hit people regardless of what age they are. So grow up. Because I don't want to block you, man. You're a good bloke. You've made some very, very good comments, but that's born out of ignorance. It really is born out of ignorance. Joan says, I'm going to miss the football so much, though. What will we talk about, guys? Now, this is the thing. Because obviously there's no previews and no news to talk about in any shape or form. I will bring you as much as I can, as always. On Sunday at midday, Dom, very well known from West Ham Fan TV, is coming on Sunday at midday. So check out that. We're gonna have a conversation about West Ham in general, his thoughts on quite a few things, including this suspension as well. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. Anikem J says, what are your thoughts on having a playoff for title and relegation bout? It's just nothing. It's irrelevant at this point, mate, to be honest with you. I know the reason, but you can't have a playoff because the season hasn't finished. Simple as that. Dave says we can still talk about football. Joan just won't be up to date. Agree. It'll all be just conjecture and whatnot. Ben Davis says it's all very worrying. JP, we all have to carry on as normal until further notice. I guess I'm worried for family. Yeah, I'm worried for everybody as well. A good friend of mine. She's lost 2 members of her family in Italy this week. Not to do with this condition, but she can't fly out as it stands at the moment because of Italy being on the lockdown. So I'm worried about her. And I'm worried about her, and I'm worried about her family, and I'm worried about everybody else. I'm worried about Dave. I'm worried about Joan. I'm worried about everybody that's within that has problems. I mean, I'm asthmatic, but I'm not asthmatic enough to require a pump. So I'm worried about it, of course, but I don't think it's going to affect me. If it does, if I get it, I'll get it. I'll have to work from home for a week. God, I don't want to do that. I really, really don't want to do that. Dave says that he's banned Turbo Gig Wolf. I'm gonna unblock him afterwards because I genuinely think, but I'll give the guy one more chance because he's been on the channel he's been supporting the channel for quite a while. But yes, I get the reasons why you guys are doing it, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for this. If he does it again, guys, then by all means, please do so again. But I don't think he will. I really don't think he will. Anakim says, I like what Club had to say about the COVID-19 situation. To be honest with you, I haven't really seen anything apart from him telling the Liverpool supporters to put their hands away because they're fucking idiots. I haven't seen anything. So, Anakin, please so Jay, please let us know what he said. Zach says, if in 2 weeks, if Corona hasn't been helped, the army is going to get involved. What the fuck are they going to do? Exactly. All the army can do is tell people to stay at home, like you see in countless movies about contamination. For example, Outbreak, about the Ebola virus that came out 25. Where are we? 25 years ago this summer. Where you have people ordering people to stay at home. Basically, if we are under a national state of emergency because of this condition, then that's when the army will really, really intervene. Which is one of the reasons why they're starting to intervene in Italy, why they're starting to intervene in China, etc., etc. But yeah, guys, so, as I say, it's going to be very, very difficult for me because, as you know, I try to keep the content to a bare minimum and talk about stuff that's actually relevant. And Dave, apologies, mate. I am sorry. I am sorry that what he said offended you as well. And I'm sure Turbo Gig, if you are still watching, please reach out to me on Twitter and we can talk about this man to man. But yeah, I can understand Dave why he's been offended because it's clearly it wasn't funny in any shape or form. But in terms of the channel, as I said, I'm going to try and do content for you as much as I possibly can. You know me, I don't like to talk about rumor. I only like to talk about hard, solid fact. Now, because of that, things are going to be massively, massively quiet. And I'm going to try and get some more guests on. I'm going to try and get, I'm in contact with, I'm talking to a few people already. As I say, Dom's coming on Sundays. We'll have a talk about with him as well. It'd be interesting to hear what he's got to say. Not just because, but I've spoken to Dom a few times, and he is a very, very cool bloke. He really is a good bloke. He knows his facts and figures. It's clear from the videos. I've spoken to him, right? He is quite an approachable guy. And it'll be an interesting conversation. He's a good mate with he's a good mate of Marshy, and we all know what Marshy's like. And Marshy's been saying, get Dom on as well because he'll have good conversations. And and now that we're all free to talk, we've got nothing better to do for the next few weekends. Then we'll be having more people on. So look, Joan says, got American friend on holiday in Spain who can't fly home, so flying via Heathrow. Thousands will come here to get to the flights to the USA, it seems to me. Yes, they will, Joan, until Trump bans all people flying in and out of the US, no matter where the destination is coming from or to. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Bruno, hello, mate. Good to see you. Hope you're doing okay. Canals, when he's talking about what Klopp said earlier, so basically what he said is Liverpool do not want any game to be suspended, but if involves community health and the health of even a single individual, they understand about the games being suspended. Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, it's a public pandemic. So as I mentioned earlier, Joe, I'm not sure how long you've been watching for, mate, but as I said earlier, it's always players, staff, supporters. Now, there's no right order to put those in. There's just absolutely no right order to put those in. But it is always, these are being called off because of the players, players this, players that. Nothing to do with the staff, nothing to do with the supporter base. It's just awful. It's absolutely terrible. Dave says never had a problem with Dom. Good. Ben Davis says National League is still going on, which is odd. Yeah, the non-league stuff is just going on because the numbers are significantly lower than they are for league games. Not all leagues, of course, but there will come a point, because if a national league, a non-league team, puts their doors up, some of them are going to go bust, because some of them won't be insured for these sort of situations, and that's what hurts. I hate to see that, but it is what it is. JGM says Dom and Marshy are quality. Yes, they are. Jones says says hello to Bruno. But yeah, guys, as I say, so if anybody has any suggestions on what sort of content they'd like to see me do within the next month, 6 weeks, however long this is going to be, let me know. Either contact me on Facebook, contact me on Twitter, either my personal or the channel account. Just drop me a message and just say that, John, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? In a way, it's a lot of. In a way, it's quite a good thing that we have this bit of a break at the same point, because that means we will have a fitter squad. We'll have Frederick should be back by the middle of April. Yarmolenko should be fully fit. It's interesting to see what happens. How these players are gonna keep themselves in match fitness. Are they going to be still going? Are the Premier League and the FA going to be giving them? Are they going to be given permission to go to the training ground, or are they going to have to be literally behind closed doors at home, and to do their usual exercises at home? It'd be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. Jay Hackal says, do you see Rice signing for Chelsea at some point in the future? I hate to say it, mate, but yes, I do. I really, really do. Next season, don't think so. He comes from a Chelsea supporting family. I'm sure he's going to do a Scott Parker at some point and go to Chelsea because his parents want to see him do that before he retires. I'm sure that's going to, but I honestly hope that's going to be a long way off. You never know. Jones says, I wonder if non-league will get an influx of spectators from other leagues. Yeah, Jones, it's very possible. A good mate of mine who lives over in Canvey has been watches Canvey when they're at home, when West Ham are away, when he can't get an away ticket. So I'm sure they will. Roy Chapel says, football is never as important as anybody's health. Agreed. Jones says, Jack Wilshere will be back. Yeah, all right. Up your dosage. Dave said, and get injured again before we play. They can play a five-a-side to Zek. But yeah, oh dear. Darren says, good morning. Oh, Darren, thanks, mate. As I say, we have mentioned, we have discussed your question you put to me about contracts running out in June. And as we talked about briefly earlier today, or yesterday for your time point, that could potentially be a temporary access. Jay also says, I literally can see Jose complaining about COVID-19 for their bad form and missing out from the top four. Well, apparently, as I said earlier, Jay, apparently the reason why Apparently, we both ourselves and Spurs asked for the season to be scrapped, and that's exactly the reason. So the same thinking. Zega says, I got an idea, maybe fucking thick, but can we get them to play VR football so no injuries or corona outbreaks? James says, morning, Darren. Hang on, what? Can we get them to play? Oh, virtual reality football. What? So no injuries or corona outbreaks. That would be fun. It'd be interesting to see if there's going to be any esports going on. Where because we've obviously got a player from West Ham's point of view on the esports network or league, whatever it is. So that would be interesting. You could do. So where are we, guys? We are on the 40th minute. So obviously that's what there's something else I want to talk to you about while we are here, because there's something I read on Claret and Hugh the other day, and I'll put that up in a minute. Where are we? It's a very, very strange thing, to say the least. Where are we? See if I can bring up the email that I sent myself to talk about it. Right. Okay. In just a few, bear with me just a few moments, because this really, really angered me. I might still talk about this, this article with Dom, but this really, really annoyed me from what I was reading on Claret and Hugh the other day. Once we get rid of this, right. So let's have a look. Let's get this underway. Let's do the screen share again. So continue talking amongst yourselves as you're currently doing. Right. So here. All right. So let me just zoom this in a little bit further so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, hang on. This isn't what this is. No, this isn't what. Sorry. Apologies, guys. This isn't what I was trying to look for. There was an article on Claret and Hugh. Let me see if I can find it. Unless it's been taken down and replaced with that, of course. I think it has. I think they have. I think Claret and Hugh have taken this down. Sorry, guys. I didn't check this because I wasn't expecting them to be such. Where are we? West Ham squad aren't self-isolating. Where is it? Where is it? Apologies, guys. It seemed to. Let me see if I can find it. So, because it was something that really irritated me about some of the protests that have been going on recently. I'll just see. I want to see if I can find it. Sorry, guys. As I say, the link that I had was going to have that was the actual link of where it was. But I think it's been taken down. I think it. Here we go. Found it. Right. So let's talk about this. Apologies, guys. So, Joan, there's a couple of questions come up in the chat, which I will come on to in just a minute. But this is what I want to talk about. Okay. So let me just zoom this in just very, very quickly. Yeah, it looks like so. London Stadium owners LLDC will be holding their board meeting next week on the 17th of March. Well, I doubt that's going to happen now. The agenda prepared in advance of the meeting noted that West Ham were currently in the relegation zone at the time of writing. The LLDC board report highlights a number of West Ham topics and incidents in and around the stadium, which the board will be briefed on next Thursday. It says, prior to the West Ham versus Everton match at the London Stadium on the 18th of January 2020, it had been agreed in conjunction with the police and the club that one of the fan groups could hold a static protest in the park. We all know who that is. It's Hammers United. The 18th of January match had additionally been reclassified from a Category A. It's a Category B match, therefore involving increased numbers of police and stewards, incurring associated costs. Bullshit. That's not what happens when a category is downgraded. It's usually there's less, but they've made this out to be the fact that they are doing it. They are putting more and more police in there because of they were worried that protests were going to overspill onto the pitch. It didn't happen, as we all know. At the Liverpool match on the 29th of January, a fan threw a coin that cracked a window of the Liverpool players' bus. The reports continues. Following the static protest by a West Ham United fan group in January 2020, a further protest by fan groups took place on the 29th of February without major incident. We know that. I was there for both of them. This will be based on a march along the Greenway to Gate 1 of the stadium through the park. LLDC and LS185 are working closely with the Metropolitan Police and London Borough of Newham and other relevant partners to ensure this is managed as safely as possible. We have made clear to organisers that that the demonstration does not have our explicit support. Why would they? Because it's the voice of the people. And although they have declined to follow our procedures, that does not allow them to abdicate responsibility for any incidents that take place. Now, there weren't any. The most that were out of that were a few. There was quite a little bit of trash around by Pudding Mill Lane Station after the demonstration. That was it. Absolutely, that's all it was. The report goes on to highlight safeguarding incident at London Stadium by saying there was one safeguarding incident to report in January. A football supporter at the West Ham versus Everton game at the London Stadium was intoxicated and was ejected from the stadium, leaving children under 10 years old unattended. That irritates the hell out of me. West Ham's safeguarding team dealt with the situation that the police were also intended. You should not, under any circumstances, and I appreciate the irony for this because it's in the coming weeks, but you should not be doing that. You should not be so drunk at a football game that your kids are left alone. Simple as that. West Ham were approached to comment on the LRDC report, but a response has yet to be received at the time of publication. So, but as I say, it just shouldn't happen. It just should not happen in any shape or form. Jay asks, what are your thoughts on England's goalkeeper situation? I haven't got an issue with it, if I'm honest. I think we've got three very, very good goalkeepers. Henderson, I can't wait to see play for England. Pickford is getting very much like Joe Hart. He's getting a little bit arrogant with a few things that he's doing, but at the core, he's a very, very good goalkeeper. Jones says, will the players still train or need to keep away from the ground? As I say, we touched on this earlier. We don't know yet, Joan. Hopefully things will, everything will be coming on very soon. Ben said, I would have thought they would have stayed at home. Odd how racing is still going on. Ben, there's not much. The Formula One's been cancelled. I'm sure the MotoGP, when that happens, that's going to be cancelled. There's a lot of stuff that's happening at the minute. I don't know which racing you're referring to. Maybe talk about the horse racing, but I say that I definitely can see at the moment that the Grand National's not happening. It's just not. West Ham cyber leader, welcome. Nice to see you. At least we can get a rest. Yes, there is that as well. As I said earlier, the players will be getting back to match fitness, and Ben agrees with me. I'm guessing in terms of the kids being left unattended. But anyway, guys, let's pretty much wrap it up because there's nothing really else to talk about. If anything does come up that is worthwhile talking about over the weekend, I will do my very best to talk about it as and when it comes up. Ben Davis is he's referring to the horse racing. Yes, I say the Cheltenham went ahead because it was the last day. I can't see the Grand National happening in any shape or form. I can't see anything basically for the next few months, but we'll find out. Darren says Gold, Sullivan and Brady out, face masks. As Jay says, would you rather have Allaire as a striker or Benteke? Shut up. Benteke is tripe. Allaire his confidence is gone. I've tried to justify him and support him and defend him as much as I can this season. As I said to Nikki when we drew with Southampton. What game was it now? Well, the 3-3 draw that we pretty much were leading and then just absolutely gave it away. The Brighton game. I tried to justify it there then, and I can't. I still to this day can't do it. Anderson's performance and confidence is shot. That's very, very obvious. And likewise with Allaire. I do honestly think that Yeti needs to be given a bit of time. Maybe do a 4-3-3 for the next couple of games once we can play football. See how he gets with the Yeti and Antonio up along with Allaire possibly. But Ben Davis says Heskey. But yeah. But anyway, guys, let's wrap it up there because we've been going for 50 minutes. It's Friday night. I didn't really want to be doing this. I had to leave. I leave and do at work to come and talk to you guys. But as you know, I try and talk to you as quickly as I possibly can about all the things that are relevant and are actually factual. But guys, thank you very, very much for your time. If you've liked this video, then by all means, please do click the like button if you feel I deserve it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. It's great to see you. If you've liked the content and you want to see more, then by all means, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. And please share this content with anybody that you feel may want to watch it. It'd be very, very nice. The channel is on 1,522 subscribers as the time of us going live for this broadcast. It'd be very, very nice to try and get those 78 subscribers to get to 1,600 by the time the end of the season comes, whenever the bloody hell that's going to be. But guys, thank you very, very much for your time. All the best. Enjoy your weekend. And as Joan is saying, good luck, everyone. All we can do is our best to keep well and hope that the government take things more seriously. Ben says, "See you, Joan. Take care." Joan, you're welcome. We try and do many live streams as I possibly can. Ben says, "Take care." You too, mate. And Armo's coming in and leaving just as we're finishing, but it's understandable given the time difference. Where he is in Canada, if I remember correctly. So, guys, thank you very, very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night, and enjoy your weekend. As I say, if anything pops up, I will let you know as quickly as I can. Otherwise, I will see you at midday GMT on Sunday as we discuss football and West Ham and a few other things with Dom.